The murder trial into the death of soccer star Senzo Meyiwa was postponed on Friday, you would recall. This after the first state witness, Sergeant Thabo Mosia, fell ill. He has spent a second week under cross-examination. The trial will resume tomorrow at the High Court in Pretoria. Let's get a wrap of last week's proceedings and take a look at the week ahead. And we're joined now by legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala. Mr. Zikalala, very good morning to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So what are the prospects of what we're expecting to take place in the week ahead? We heard that Advocate Malisela Tifo plans to bring an application for a trial within a trial. We know that he's already stated the reasons for that. What are the prospects of the success of that as we're already in this trial already?
Good morning to Crystal and SABC viewers. I don't think that the application is going to succeed based on the following reasons. It's quite correct. Whenever a person is being brought to court, it's imperative that they be explained as to the nature of the proceedings, the implications of saying anything in that particular courtroom, which is why it is always insisted by the presiding officers, no matter where you are, that you get someone with a legal knowledge who will be able to explain exactly what has happened. But in this particular case, yes, it may have been that on the first maybe appearance, those particular rights were not explained. But when we got into the crux of the matter, when evidence was going to be led, when statements are supposed to be taken, if the legal representatives of the accused 1 to accused 4 were present, they're able to guide them as to what to say and what not to say, the implications of detailing whatever that they're going to detail. I don't think that the application is going to succeed. But linked to that is this. I don't think that even if the application were to succeed, it would wish away these particular charges. The judge may come back and say, I want to rule on this matter after I've heard the whole evidence which is supposed to be presented to my court. I'm not going to give this matter any preference. I want to deal with it at the end of this particular application. Now, I don't think it's going to achieve what advocates for maybe accused 1 and 4 are trying to achieve of wishing away these particular matters, or in them being able to come back and explain to the court exactly whether they're guilty or not, or whether they have any explanation as to the charges that have been laid against them. But backed by the legal precedents, backed by the law, the judge would be entitled to say, I'm only going to give my response at the end of this particular trial. For now, I want to hear what you have to say. It's important that we get justice in this matter. Let's hear the evidence. Let me evaluate it so that I'll be able to determine whether one is guilty or not.
I know that you're not a criminal law expert, but I would like your view on what we've heard so far in court. I mean, quite a number of concessions have been made by the state's first witness. We're far from seeing the end of this trial at the moment, which we were still on the first witness. Yeah. But quite a number of concessions and shocking revelations, if I may. I was inside that court and, the first forensic detective who was on the scene tells the court that he didn't even take swabs from some of the most crucial places within the house where this crime had taken place. He also didn't take swabs, of gunshot residue from any of the individuals in the house to rule out the possibility that any of them may have been involved in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. What does this say overall, perhaps, if we take a glimpse at, forensics and how work was actually done at this crime scene?
If I was the Minister of Police, I'd be very worried. If I was the Police Commissioner, I'd be very worried. And ask myself this question, or I think it's what we must ask ourselves this particular question. Have we really trained our police officers to be able to deal with the forensic work in which they need to do? When they are doing or collecting the particular crucial information, do they understand that they're collecting it so that it can be presented at a later stage at court? Do they understand the burden of proof that is attached to the NPA or the state in proving the guilty beyond reasonable doubt type of circumstances or the principle that is there? So that at the end of the day, they're able to do a thorough job. Now, what has been stated in court, unless the state can come back and re-examination and try and repatch its case, simply proves that this particular matter was not investigated in a manner in which it ought to have been investigated in. Now, the reason why a police officer, when they first come into the witness box, would state their level of experience, level of education, and the number of years in which they've been doing this particular job, is to prove to us and also to the presiding officer that they are really an expert and they know the methodologies and methods in which they are supposed to use when conducting such an investigation. Now, if you are going to miss such crucial basic information when it comes to forensic investigations. It simply means that this matter was not investigated properly, and it's not going to deliver the results in which you want to get at the end of the day. And let's also remember the victim in this case, the Meyiwa family, because...
Sorry, Mr. Zikalala, to interject there. I really wanted to ask then, what bearing could this? I know we're still very far from the end of this case, but this is a crucial part of evidence in terms of how police responded to the scene, what it is that they did when they were there, how some of this evidence was stored. What we're also hearing now is the work that was done, as you correctly put it, how work was done in terms of trying to investigate what could have happened on that day that Senzo Meyiwa was called. We're far from the end of this case, but with such crucial evidence, what bearing would this have on the case?
It may deliver not guilty plea. Let's remember that the state it's obligated to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the people that are in the box or the accused are the real individuals, the perpetrator that committed this crime. Now, if the defense is going to come in and drop in instances of doubt or provide an alternative view as to what could have happened, then the court can't come back and say that we found you guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Now, the instances of the investigation not been done properly, instances of investigation that have failed to do the basics, I can only lead to one conclusion, that you haven't investigated this matter properly. The conclusions that you have got are incorrect. And basically, the people that are in the accused box are not the ones that you should be pursuing. In fact, what we should be saying and asking ourselves, what ought you have done as a forensic expert? Did you do that particular job? If you have failed to do the job, that means you didn't deliver justice at the end of the day.
Accusations also that evidence may have been planted. We also heard from Advocate, I think it was Advocate Samsandile Mshololo, who pointed to that fact. Well, that's an allegation, of course. I mean, how does it look currently in terms of, you already said that, you'd be worried if you were the police minister. But as the case goes forward, how crucial is this part of the evidence that Mosia is giving? I know that there's still quite a number of individuals that will still take the stand. We're not sure if he will be back on the stand tomorrow. He is ill. We might go to a second witness if he is, if he remains ill. But how crucial is this part of the evidence to, do exactly what the defense is trying to do, to say that these men who are sitting in the dock are not the correct people who should be facing the rap over the death of Senzo Meyiwa?
It is very crucial. Let's remember the type of evidence that you are dealing with. It is forensic evidence, which would mean it is there to corroborate whatever any human being would come and say inside that particular witness box. The forensic evidence will not lie, will not forget, and is always going to be truthful. But a human being can always distort a few facts. They may not remember certain things that have occurred, which is why it was crucial for the state to make sure that this particular witness is able to come in and say forensically, this is what we have done, and this is evidence which we've collected that links individuals which are in the witness box. Currently, whatever that this witness has said favors the accused, because it is saying what the accused have been saying from the very first instance, that you have the wrong individuals which are in the witness box. We don't know what we are talking about. And in fact, what their legal representatives have done, they are saying, you have failed to place us in that particular place on that date and that particular time. In that case, it can't be that we are the ones that pulled the trigger. It can't be that we are the ones that perpetrated this unlawful act. So as a state, in terms of proving that you have got the right and correct individuals up until now, based on the evidence that we have heard, unless in re-examination the state can come back and do some recapping and maybe some damage control type of work, I don't think they've been successful in proving that the accused, which are in the witness box, are the real individuals that should answer to this particular act.
I think you would recall that there was a name that often came up in the proceedings, Brigadier Philani Ndlovu. And Mosia basically told the court on a number of occasions that it handed over the scene to Brigadier Philani Ndlovu. Brigadier Philani Ndlovu had told him where to take photographs of, of what was happening at the scene. Brigadier Philani Ndlovu, didn't tell him that he should do swabs on any of the individuals inside the house. And Mosia had basically relied on all the information that he was given from given by Brigadier Philani Ndlovu. This takes me back to the National Prosecuting Authority. Recall that when Brigadier Philani Ndlovu had passed away, the NPA had said that he was not scheduled to be a witness in this matter and that statements were not even taken from him, but he seems to have been a crucial figure. He even arrived at the scene before the forensic detective who is currently on the scene. What does this tell us? Because the NPA dismissed quite categorically that the person who had passed away was going to be of any significance to this case. But what we're hearing now certainly seems to be to the contrary.
I think maybe they weren't being generous with the truth in certain instances, but that's true that can be proved at a later stage. However, every single person that arrived on the scene on that particular day, especially a person who's an assigned police official, is crucial in proving the facts of this particular case. And if you're going to have someone who's going to say, I did not independently choose where I'm going to check the swabs, I did not independently choose what evidence I'm going to collect or not to collect, I was highly influenced by Brigadier Ndlovu. It simply means that Brigadier Ndlovu is important. In fact, whatever that has been contained in the report of the current witness is hearsay evidence, because it is actually Mr. Ndlovu who's supposed to be in that particular witness box, detailing what he saw when he came in, what was the demeanor and what was said between them and the people that were in the house, why weren't swabs taken of those particular individuals that were in the house, did they have any reasonable suspicion to think that they may have been the ones that actually perpetrated this particular act. Now, what it does, it comes back to maybe let's say the training of the SAPS and also the level of preparedness in terms of the NPA of this particular matter. We've already concluded that based on what we've heard in this particular week, definitely the SAPS need more training and they need more attention into looking at how evidence is collected, especially when it comes to the forensic investigators. But when it comes to the NPA, the preparing of a case, because you know that the burden lies with you as the NPA to prove beyond reasonable doubt that this person is guilty, it means you have to work extra hard to make sure that you close all the loopholes that are there. Now, if there are 2 case numbers that are allocated, if there are a number of affidavits which are out there, it is up to the NPA to make sure that they have a look at all of them to ensure that nothing is left untouched. Every single person who's supposed to be witness in this case is then recorded as such, and you collect as much information as possible. You only have one chance as the NPA to present your evidence. You can't come back at a later stage and say, this is the new person that we have found. We want to make sure that they come in and deliver evidence. So you have to make sure that once you say evidence is complete, once you say that the trial must start, you make sure that all your ducks are in a row and you're able to present your case and make sure it's going to be a winnable one. So I think it's going to cause a huge blow to the stage or to the case of the NPA, and it's going to be a bit of a high hill to climb to prove and maybe to dispel the myth that there's maybe something untoward that is happening, and also to link that the other case number which is linked to this case, the evidence which was collected on that particular case is not really important.
Mpumelelo Zikalala, thank you very much indeed. Looking, of course, to the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial of 5 men, of course, accused of killing the soccer star. That's back in court tomorrow in the Pretoria High Court. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on the program.